So friend, once again I welcome you for this free webinar on art of drafting pre-PhD synopsis. In fact, I am very much used to for having face-to-face interaction with all participants most of the time. But this is first time due to this coronavirus pandemic. We are locked down at our respective homes, and unfortunately we are not able to visit our working place. But I hope that you all are doing well during this very difficult time of coronavirus pandemic. And today I have decided to speak on this issue. One of the reason for that is this is one of my a very special topic which is close to my heart, and therefore whenever I feel that I should have interaction with research scholars, I always make it sure that I will be speaking on this particular topic. I hope my screen is visible to each one of you. So today I'm going to speak on this particular, this is going to be outline of my talk today. To begin with, I will be speaking on what are the different types of research reports, and then we will be discussing on various key aspect of quality publications, and then I will be telling you the brief background of drafting of pre-PhD synopsis, and then I will be touching upon various aspects of drafting of pre-PhD synopsis, and then I will be summarizing. And okay, so whenever I'm having one-to-one interaction with participant, I'm always asking this question. This question is, what is the purpose of attending any seminar or workshop? Unfortunately today, since we are not going to have a face-to-face interaction, I just cannot go ahead and ask you this question. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to tell you the purpose, like what is my purpose, why I have organized this particular webinar for all the research scholars. Let me tell you, my friend, during last 32 years, I have been sitting in various PhD Viva Voce meetings as a teacher, as a head of the department, as a BOA chairman. Similarly, I have attended many BOS meetings as well, RRC meetings I would say, where I have represented there as a subject expert, as a HOD of Department of Physics and Department of Electronics, and in the capacity of BOA chairman as well. Most of the time, whenever I had an interaction with research scholars, what I observed is most of the research scholars are not well aware of how the pre-PhD synopsis can be drafted. मैंने देखा कि ज्यादातर स्टूडेंट्स, ज्यादातर रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स, they are not well aware. As a result of that, they are not able to publish their data in good journal, and moreover, they are not able to have any societal relevance of their PhD work. And therefore, what I thought is, since we are locked down at our home, I thought let me have a talk with those who are interested. And that is why this is one of the reasons why I have made this webinar free of charge. Now, let us move further. As far as the research reports are concerned, there are mainly five types of research reports. The pre-PhD synopsis. Now, pre-PhD synopsis can be either in the beginning of research work. That means whenever we are registering for PhD, we are going to submit the pre-PhD synopsis. This is what we call as beginning of the research work. Similarly, you can go ahead and submit your pre-PhD synopsis at the completion of research work. जब भी आप 3-4 साल, 2-3 साल जब आप research work करेंगे, at the end of your research work, you will be submitting your pre-PhD synopsis. And then The another report is going to be PhD thesis. Fourth one is going to be manuscript of research paper. And the fifth one is research proposal for either for fellowship or funding. Friend, today we are going to cover only three, because pre-PhD synopsis in the beginning, pre-PhD synopsis by the completion of research work, and the PhD thesis as well. Because by and large, these three reports are going to be a similar. That format is going to be the same. However, as far as manuscript of research paper is concerned, that I'm going to have a separate webinar for manuscript of research paper, how the manuscript can be drafted, and similarly research proposal for fellowship and funding, I'm going to have a separate webinar on that as well. Let me allow the other participant as well. Okay, let us go ahead. So as I mentioned earlier, today we are going to speak on only three aspects, rather only three type of research reports: pre-PhD synopsis, right, which usually we submit right in the beginning of research work, and the similar kind of report we have to submit again once we complete our research work, and then PhD thesis. This is going to be the outline of pre-PhD synopsis, which we are going to submit right in the beginning. We will always start with title, introduction, literature review, hypothesis, objectives, methodology, experimental plan, expected outcome, tentative chapter scheme, and references. Now let me tell you, my friend, the title, whenever you are drafting title or pre-PhD synopsis to begin with, you should begin with very broad kind of title. I'm going to show you the examples later. Let me briefly introduce you all the parameters of outline of pre-PhD synopsis. Then as far as introduction is concerned, in introduction, what we need to do is you have to, once whatever the topic you have finalized, you need to get yourself aware about various aspects of that topic. Then once you go ahead with introduction, then you need to have the literature review. On the basis of literature review, you will be able to formulate your hypothesis, and on the basis of hypothesis, you will be able to formulate your set of objectives. On the basis of set of objectives, you will be able to finalize your methodology, and based on your objectives and methodology, you will be able to plan your experiment. And then once you do the experiment, you will be having, like, to begin with, you need to project what is going to be expected outcome of your research. And then moreover, you have to provide tentative chapter scheme as well, and the list of references. As far as this is the format or outline of pre-PhD synopsis, which usually we submit right in the beginning of our research. Once you complete your research, जब हम PhD का काम पूरा करते हैं, PhD का काम पूरा करने के बाद जब हम thesis जब सबमिट करते हैं, thesis सबमिट करने के पहले once again we have to submit pre-PhD synopsis. Now if you look at outline of pre-PhD synopsis, which we submit right in the beginning and which is to be submitted right in the end of at the end of your PhD work, first 6 points are going to be same: title, introduction, literature review, hypothesis, objective, and methodology are going to be same. Whereas whenever you are submitting final synopsis, at that time you need to provide chapter wise summary result, because you need to summarize the chapter wise, you need to provide the chapter wise summary of your result, and then overall conclusion. Because obviously whenever you are writing chapter wise summary of your results, you will be concluding, you will be having conclusion of the respective chapter, but at the end of that you need to have the overall conclusion as well, and then you have to provide references. This is how the outline of pre-PhD synopsis, which you are going to submit at the end of your PhD thesis, PhD work. Now as far as the thesis is concerned, again if you look at this outline, the first 6 points are going to be same, right from title to methodology is going to be same. However, whenever you are writing thesis, obviously you are expected to write in detail, in depth result and discussion chapter wise. Let us say, for example, if you are having 4 chapters which based on your experimental results, then what you need to do, you need to have an introduction chapter in the, because the introduction chapter will consisting of introduction, literature review, hypothesis, objective, methodology, and then followed by there will be 4 different chapters based on all those 4 different targeted work you have carried out. So there would be 4 different chapters. So result and discussion, all detailed results and detailed discussion, conclusion chapter wise, and then later on you can have the overall conclusion. And whenever you are submitting PhD thesis, obviously you need to submit the future plan as well, and obviously last is going to be references. So this is how the tentative outline of 3 different research reports. I'm going to discuss all those in detail. Now I'm going to ask you one question. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to, since we are not going to have face-to-face interaction today, I just cannot ask you this question. Like, but rather, although you did not, because you need not respond to this question, but you think, my perception is most of the PhD theses are being published without quality publication. I don't know whether you agree with me or not, but truly speaking, most of you must agree with me. The reason for that is, if you look at, because whenever we are making this bold statement, like most of the PhD theses are not being published with quality publication. So if you agree with this statement, then we need to see like what are the probable reasons. Now, whenever we are talking about probable reasons, we need to understand like what kind of mistake we have committed. Because whenever you are registering for PhD, जब आप PhD के लिए अपने आप को register करते हो, तो कम से कम 3 या 3 साल 4 साल 5 साल का बड़ा useful time आप बिताते हो. At the end of those 3, 4, 5 years, if you are not able to publish your data in the quality journal, a reputed journal, which is being recognized worldwide, then there would be serious question mark. And therefore, today, to begin with, I'm going to discuss this issue. Now, what are the key aspects? Why, like, if whenever your data is not being accepted, then what are the issues? Now, if you want your paper to be published in good journal, I'm at the end of this publication, I'm going to tell you how the quality journals to be identified. What are the quality journals? What are the parameters? That I'm going to tell you at the end of this presentation. But to begin with, let me tell you what are the key aspects of quality publication. Key aspect I mean to say is what are those important parameters which are going to be a deciding factors for publishing your data in good impact factor journal. Friend, I'm going to tell you there are 3 important parameters. Those 3 parameters are novelty of your work, social relevance, or national importance, and credibility of researcher. Let me tell you, like, whenever you are submitting your manuscript to any journal editor is going to review your manuscript with these 3 parameters. They are going to check. The journal editor is going to check your manuscript for these 3 parameters. What are those? The first parameter is going to be novelty. Journal editor is going to check whether you have got some novel results. Now, how novelty can be inculcated? Now, question is, now there are very serious, you need to be very serious about this. If you really want your paper to be accepted in a good journal, you need to be very serious while drafting your manuscript. Truly speaking, the introduction part of your manuscript is going to be very, very important to claim the novelty of your work. Now, how to do this? Now, I can quote one example. एक डमी एग्जाम्पल आपके सामने मैं पेश करना चाहूंगा. Like, let us say I can take my own example. Let us say I am very genuine and committed research scholar. I work for maybe for 6 months for one particular targeted work, and at the end of that work, I have drafted my manuscript, and that manuscript was submitted to one of the journal. And like nowadays, most of the journals are online. Most of the reputed journals are online. And for example, on second day, I got email from journal editor that Professor Sirsat, your paper, since your paper is being rejected because your paper doesn't have any sort of novelty. I was really surprised. This is dummy example I'm quoting. With this comment, I was really surprised. Now, since, for example, it was possible for me to have a telephonic conversation with him on second day. What I did, I call him on telephone and I started conversation. I said, Mr. Editor, why you have rejected my paper? He said, Mr. Professor Sirsat, since you don't have any novelty in your research work, I have rejected your paper. Then I went ahead and then I started explaining how my work is novel. He said like, okay, you go ahead and just convince me. You tell me how your work is going to be novel as per your opinion. Then I went ahead and I said, I have referred all those international journals, latest international journals. I have referred all those papers, related papers, which are very close to my research work. I have gone through their research objectives. I have gone through what kind of methodology they have objected, they have adopted. I have gone through what kind of result they got. I have gone through their analysis. I have gone through their interpretation. I have gone through their conclusions, and I have observed the pitfalls in their investigations. And after observing pitfalls, the same exercise was done on it's not only one paper, but I have referred many paper of this kind. I did the same exercise. ये एक्सरसाइज करने के बाद मुझे पता चला कि जो काम मैं कर रहा हूं अभी तक किसी ने भी इस दुनिया में किया नहीं है. And since it has not been done by anybody, this is novel. On second, once I finished my deliberation, he said, okay, tell me which journals you have referred. But then I started telling him, International Journal of this and this, published in Vertigo 3. International Journal of this and this, published in blah, blah, blah place. What I mean to say is, my friend, there are many substandard journal coming up nowadays like Mushroom. Mushroom के जैसे ही इंटरनेशनल जर्नल आ रहे हैं. They are being referred as international journal. अपने आप को इंटरनेशनल जर्नल कहलाते हैं. वो क्लेम भी करते हैं. आप अगर देखोगे जर्नल के टॉप में लिखा होगा कि impact factor of this journal is this and this, but they don't know what is basically impact factor. इसीलिए हमें ये पता होना चाहिए जब हम हमारा लिटरेचर रिव्यू करेंगे तो हमें पता होना चाहिए कि what kind of journals we are referring. If you are not referring the international journals of repute, if you don't know what are the quality journals, you don't know parameters for identifying quality journals, then you will be in trouble. And therefore, right in the beginning of research, जब भी आप रिसर्च करते हो तो सबसे पहले आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि what are the quality journals, what are the parameters of identifying quality journals. Because आपको अगर वो पैरामीटर पता नहीं है, आपको क्वालिटी जर्नल क्या है ये पता नहीं है, तो you will not be able to inculcate novelty in your work. And therefore, क्योंकि ये जो सबस्टैंडर्ड जर्नल, जो मशरूम के जैसे जर्नल आजकल निकल रहे हैं, वो जर्नल के पेपर आप अगर रेफर करोगे तो वहां पर नॉवेल्टी आपको मिलेगी नहीं. घिसा पिटा वर्क वो पब्लिश करेंगे and then you will not be able to expose yourself to new topic. And therefore, to begin with, whenever you want to inculcate, because novelty is going to be inculcated only when if you do very, very rigorous literature review. Literature review is going to be very, very important. Before drafting this pre-PhD synopsis, right in the beginning, your literature review is going to play a very, very important role. And therefore, whenever you are doing literature review, आपको अच्छे journals कौन से ही ये पता होना जरूरी है. And that is why at the end of this presentation, I am going to tell you what are the parameters for identification of good journal, good impact factor journal. What kind of impact factors are available? What is Thomson-Reuters? What is Claveret Analytics? That I'm going to tell you at the end of my presentation. But to begin with, let us go ahead with this. So, first parameter that journal editor or the reviewer is going to check is novelty, whether you have novelty or not, because that has to be rigorously, because as I mentioned earlier, if you do literature review rigorously, then you will be able to inculcate novelty in your work. Second point is going to be social relevance. A reviewer and the editor is going to check whether your work has got some social relevance. What I mean to say is, whatever result you got, whatever research outcome you got, whether it has got some social relevance. What I mean to say is, जो भी result आपको मिले हैं, वो result society के किस cross section के लिए काम में आएंगे. Now, how to do that? How to inculcate this? For that purpose, I would like you to do one exercise. Now, right in the beginning, whenever you are initiating your PhD work, this exercise need to be done by every researcher right in the beginning. What we need to do, we need to start collecting the problems, because identification of problem itself is one of the very important tasks, very important step, I would say, if you want to really do a very good research work. And therefore, whenever you are identifying problem, what you need to do is you need to start recording the issues. So my suggestion would be, like, to begin with, right in the beginning of your research career, you should start, like, recording the issues. Let us say, for example, I am resident of Aurangabad. So what I need to do is I need to start recording what are the issues I am going to have related to my subject. Of course, related to your expertise is going to be very important. And before doing this, you need to do one more exercise as well. वो exercise क्या होगी? You need to do your own SWOT analysis. जैसा हमें पता है कि NAAC ने हमें सिखाया है कि हमें SWOT analysis करना चाहिए. SWOT analysis means what? It is a S for strength, W for weakness, and then opportunities and threats. So you need to do threats or challenges. So you need to do this kind of exercise right in the beginning. Particularly, we need to identify what are your strengths and weaknesses. Unless we identify our strengths and weaknesses, we will not be able to do the proper mapping. Mapping is going to play a very important role. Mapping means, like, once you know what are your strengths, once you know what are your weaknesses, and then second exercise, as I mentioned earlier, the first exercise should be do the rigorous SWOT analysis of your own, identify your strengths and weaknesses, and second exercise would be start recording issues. Start recording the issues or problems related to your research topic. Right? Let us say, again I start. Let us say I'm resident of Aurangabad. So what I need to do, I need to start recording problems related to my research topic in Aurangabad. I need to start recording problems related to my topic, which are related to, which are in the Marathwada region, the issues which are there in the Maharashtra region, issues which are there in the entire country, issues which are there beyond the country. It means you need to start from your home, and you need to, like, I would say from your home to your globe. I mean, right from your home, you should start recording the problems, and then you should end up with the entire globe. So by doing this, you will be having huge list of issues, huge list of problem. And I agree. ऐसा नहीं कि जो भी, मान लो आपके पास अगर 50 प्रॉब्लम की लिस्ट हो, तो you will not be able to address all those 50 problems. What you need to do is you need to see what are your strengths. You need to do a proper mapping of your strength and issues. Because आपने issues identify कर रखे, लेकिन आपके पास वो strength अगर नहीं है, you will not be able to address those issues. So those issues are going to be related to some societal issues, some societal problems, some national problems. So once you start recording this kind of problems, this kind of issues right in the beginning, and once you do the proper mapping of your strength with that of the issues, then you will be able to inculcate the social relevance in your investigations right in the beginning. These exercises need to be done right in the beginning. And therefore, my friend, this social relevance is going to play a very important role whenever you are submitting your paper for publication. Third one is going to be credibility of researcher. Whenever you are submitting paper, the journal editor and journal reviewer, they are going to see what are your credentials. They are going to see what is your credential, because nowadays Google Scholar, there are many search engines. It's not only Google Scholar, there are many search engines. So let us say today I submitted one paper. The second time, I mean at second moment, once the paper is received by the editor or reviewer, what they are going to do, they are going to see कि Professor Sirsad ने अभी तक क्या किया है. What is his credibility? Let me quote one example. I remember in 2010 we organized one international conference. Which is international conference में हमने पोलैंड के एक एक्सपर्ट को बुलाया था. He was like invited speaker, and he was not, I mean, family. I mean, he was somehow. I went to Australia, and then I came across him through one of my friends. And then through one of my friend from Australia, I invited him. So we were not familiar to each other. When he came to the Aurangabad, and when he started speaking, right in the beginning, he started mentioning that I was not aware. I was surprised to see the facilities which are there in these particular universities. I was surprised why he has made that statement. Once he finishes his talk, अपना टॉक खत्म करने के बाद जब वो बाहर आए तो मैंने उनको पूछा कि भाई आपने ये स्टेटमेंट क्यों किया, तो वो कह रहे थे कि I have received a couple of papers from your university. I have received couple of research paper because he is the editor, chief editor of one of the journal which is related to crystal growth. And he said, I have received couple of paper from your universities, and whenever whenever I received paper, what I usually do is मैं जिस यूनिवर्सिटी के वो ऑथर है उस यूनिवर्सिटी का वेबसाइट खोलकर देखता हूं कि इस यूनिवर्सिटीज में जो फैसिलिटीज, जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ये रिसर्च स्कॉलर क्लेम कर रहा है, क्योंकि हम एक्सपेरिमेंटल सेक्शन में लिखते हैं कि वी आर हैविंग दिस एंड दिस फैसिलिटीज, दिस एक्सपेरिमेंट वाज कंडक्टेड बाय यूजिंग दिस एंड दिस फैसिलिटीज, सेम थिंग वी यूजुअली रेफर इन कैरेक्टराइजेशन आल्सो। मतलब जो एक्सपेरिमेंट हम करते, जो सिंथेसिस या कैरेक्टराइजेशन के लिए जो टूल्स हम यूटिलाइज करते, उसका रेफरेंस, उसका जिक्र हम हमारे इंट्रोडक्शन में देते हैं, उसका जिक्र हम एक्सपेरिमेंटल सेक्शन में देते हैं। एंड देन व्हाट ही डिड, ही सेड कि जब भी मेरे पास पेपर आता है तो मैं उस यूनिवर्सिटी का वेबसाइट खोलकर देखता हूं, एंड देन आई ऑलवेज क्रॉस वेरीफाई वेदर व्हाटएवर क्लेम ही इज मेकिंग, वेदर those kind of, I mean, those equipments are available in that particular university. इसका मतलब क्या है? It's not only research paper. The reviewer or editor is going to check whatever claim you are making in your manuscript. They are going to check whether those infrastructure, that kind of infrastructures are available in your university or not. It means that the credibility of researcher is going to be rigorously tested. So my friend, whenever your paper is going to be submitted or received by the reviewer or editor, he is always going to check your manuscript for these three parameters: novelty, whether it has got novelty, whether it has got some social relevance, and whether it has got some, whether the PI, or sorry, the researcher has got some credential in this area. These three parameters are going to be rigorously tested, and therefore, if you are really serious about these three parameters, right in the beginning of your research work, I'm sure you are going to publish your data in good journal. Let us move further. Now, as far as the criteria for selection of problem is concerned, whenever we are selecting problem, because this is again, because what I observe is most of the time, जब मैं देखता हूँ, मैंने बताया आपको कि जब भी मैंने PhD वाइवा वोस अटेंड किए, जब भी in the capacity of either professor, in the capacity of HOD or BOH chairman, मैंने देखा कि there are many issues. मतलब हमारे रिसर्च स्कॉलर के कुछ कंसेप्ट क्लियर नहीं है, and that is why I thought let me have this particular slide. Whenever you are selecting your problem, these are the some of the important points that you need to be very careful about. What are those? Your topic should be, your research problem should be very clear and unambiguous. It means it should have a wonderful clarity. Then it should be logical and systematic. It means it should establish a relationship between logical and systematic in logical and systematic manner. It should be empirical. It should have relationship between variables. This variable should be properly considered so that you will be able to justify it properly. Then management is going to be very important, because when you select the topic within, you need to understand what are the requirements. Like if you are not able to understand the requirement of the topic, then again you will end up with the frustration. And then most importantly, it should be very much interesting to you. The person who is doing research, it should be interesting for him as well. If he is not interesting, अगर वो काम करते समय खुद को ही अगर interest नहीं आ रहा, तो he will not be able to do the good research. Now, this is going to be very important slide. This will explain what are the probable attributes of research scholar. Truly speaking, अगर वैसे देखा जाए, it's not only research scholar. For every human being, if you really want to be good human being, you need to have these attributes. What are those? Research scholar is very important, but these attributes need to be very important for every human being. You need to be good reader. Research scholar need to be good reader. Why? Because nowadays, unfortunately, most of the students they don't have study habits. वो पढ़ना ही नहीं चाहते, क्योंकि रीडर इसीलिए है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा पढ़ना चाहिए. अभी क्या हो रहा है? Because although we have got everything on tip of our finger, whatever you want, you can have it on Google. You can have it on Google Scholar. You have got many ebooks. You have got many hard copies of the book. But still, अभी आपको मैं बताऊं कि जब हम NAAC के लिए हम peer team, as a NAAC peer team, जब मैं in the capacity of NAAC peer team member, whenever I am visiting many colleges, तो वहां पर हम देखते हैं कि एक पैरामीटर NAAC में वो वहां पर पूछा जाता है कि हाउ मेनी teachers, how many research scholars, how many students are visiting a library every day. And most of the time, unfortunately, most of the colleges and most of the universities are manipulating this data. क्योंकि आजकल students, आजकल teachers यूनिवर्सिटी के लाइब्रेरी में, कॉलेज के लाइब्रेरी में जाना लोगों ने बंद कर दिया. उसका रीजन ये है कि लोग कहते हैं कि no, because we are having everything online, and I do have subscription of most of the online journals, and therefore I don't need to go to the library. But truly speaking, library में कुछ old references होते हैं. Whenever I'm going to tell you later, whenever you are doing literature review खाली recent literature review नहीं करना चाहिए, आपको कुछ old references भी important होते हैं. If you really want to do very impactful research, then old references are also going to play important role. And therefore, my friend, you need to be a good reader. I mean, the researchers need to be a good leader. Second is like you need to be good listener. क्योंकि researcher ने सुनना चाहिए. क्योंकि देखिए, why it is listener? Because whenever you are working in a group, whenever you are working in a group, whenever you are having interaction with your senior research scholar, whenever you are having interaction with your PhD advisor, you need to be good listener. आजकल ऐसा होता है, बहुत बार कभी-कभी होता है, मेरे स्टूडेंट के साथ ऐसा नहीं होता, लेकिन बहुत बार मेरे कुछ फ्रेंड है वो मुझे बताते हैं कि उनका स्टूडेंट उनके पास आता है लेकिन सुनने को तैयार ही नहीं होता है. वो कहते हैं कि सर मैंने ये किया, वो किया, अब इसी को एक्सेप्ट करो आप. But let me tell you, my friend, if you really want to do a good research work, if you really want to do the research work which is going to be useful for society, if you really want to do research work which can be published in good research journal, then you need to be good listener. मतलब आपको सुनना चाहिए लोगों का. And then third attribute is you need to be good observer as well. Because whenever you are doing experiment, बहुत बार ऐसा होता है, साइंस में ऐसा होता है कि हम कुछ बच्चे ऐसे हैं कि एक्सपेरिमेंट करते, like they are doing today experiment, they are end up with failure. Tomorrow again end up with failure. Third day end up with failure, and like weeks together, वो एक वीक, पहला वीक गया, दूसरा वीक गया, तीसरा वीक गया, still they are not able to do the successful experiment. The reason is they are not a good observer. Because whenever you are going to any research laboratory, a new research scholar, what you need to do is first time you need to start observing others. You need to see like what others are doing. It's not only for experimental section. Like whenever you are collecting data, there also you need to be good observer. So if you really want to do impactful research, you need to be good observer. So once you read, once you listen, once you observe, you will be able to have a full of information with you. You will be having wonderful information with you. And once you have information with you, then you need to do a systematic analysis. And for that purpose, you need to be a good analyst. You need to have a computer literacy as well, because if you really want to do the analysis of your data, then computer literacy nowadays is going to be very, very important. And then once you do the proper analysis, then you need to have a very good planning, and therefore you need to be a good planner. Because you have collected data, you did proper analysis, but if you are not able to do the proper planning, then again there would be chaos. So you need to do the proper planning. Once you have the proper planning, you need to be good action taker as well. Because once you have the proper planning, you need to implement that. Okay, so if you are not a good implementer, if you are not a good action taker, then truly speaking, that is why we call it experimental richness. So you need to keep on doing experiment one after other. So these are 6 very important attributes of research scholar, and those research scholars who are having these attributes, I'm sure they will be able to do wonderful research. And most importantly, आपको अगर सही मायनों में काम अच्छा करना है तो आपका physical fitness अच्छा होना बहुत जरूरी है. And therefore research scholar ने right from beginning, you need to do a proper exercise so that you will be able to keep yourself physically fit during those 3-4 years, so that you will not have any problem of fatigue. And then at the same time, once you do the wonderful research, the medium of instruction, proficiency in medium of instruction is going to be very, very important, because you must be able to present your work in more, like systematic way. Now, it's not only oral presentation, like in writing presentation also. Like whenever you have done your experiment, whenever you have a data with you, whenever your analysis is ready with you, then you need to draft your manuscript. For that purpose, your medium of instruction, proficiency in English language is going to play a very, very important role. And therefore, my friend, all those attributes are going to be very, very important as far as research, for any research scholars. And then what are the prerequisites for research? Because this is what I'm creating background for writing, drafting pre-PhD synopsis. So you need to have a versatile imaginative capacity, because this is very, very important. Because whenever you are identifying problem, because during whenever you are drafting your manuscript, even whenever you are in the process of selecting the problem, identification of problem for your PhD, at that time your imagination should be wonderful, your creativity should be wonderful, and therefore we need to have a fertile imaginative capacity. Second is wide educational background. Wide educational background, what I mean to say is, let us say for example, I am the man of physics. Like if I am working in material science, I need to have a little knowledge of chemistry. I should have little knowledge of mathematics, similarly biology as well. So if you are having that kind of wide educational background, you will be a right person. You will be in better position to draft your manuscript, select your problem, and so that you will be able to do wonderful research in your future course. And then proper selection of research topic is going to be very, very important. I'm going to tell you how the topic is to be selected. Then practical feasibility of research topic, this is also very, very important. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हम कभी-कभी जैसे एग्जांपल देता हूँ. For example, I am very good in mathematics and I would like to design a satellite. Okay, since I am good in mathematics, I can go ahead and design satellite. But the problem is, am I going to have a proper guidance? Because it's not only mathematics. I need to have a technical skills, because I need to have somebody who is going to guide me. Okay, and therefore the feasibility of research topic need to be properly taken care. This is also going to be very important. Next point is going to be insight into the subject to understand cause-effect relationship. This is very, very important, because for that purpose you need to continuously read and do the systematic analysis. Then knowledge of your own limitations. This is also very, very important. That is why I have advise you to do the SOC analysis right in the beginning, because if you do SOC analysis right in the beginning, then you will be able to know what are your limitations. Similarly, analytical and coordinating capacity, this is going to be strength. So you need to know what are your strength, and then availability of necessary facilities as well. This is also very, very important, because whatever work you are going to do, you need to have access to those facilities. If you are not able to have access, then you won't be able to do the quality research. Now, this is a very common definition of research. Now, what is research? Research is to see what everybody else has seen. This is true, but at the same time, to think what nobody else had thought. This is what the novelty means. Although, like, you are not going to do any altogether different work. Like for example, in research, आप ऐसा नहीं करोगे कि अभी तक किसी ने किया ही नहीं. No, that work must have been done by somebody else. But the approach which you are going to adopt during your investigation, that approach should be altogether different. And this is going to play very, very important role whenever you are selecting your problem. And then whenever you are selecting your problem, your viva analysis is going to play another very important role. I would like to introduce you to one concept, the Kaizen concept. What is Kaizen? Kaizen is basically a Japanese business philosophy. What is this? Kaizen stands for continuous improvement. Kaizen stands for continuous improvement. It means nowadays every industry, this is basically this concept is being adopted in most of the industries, even in India also nowadays, because this has been originated from Japan, but this has been this has started adopting in most of the Indian industries as well. Now, what does it mean? It means, as I mentioned earlier, Kaizen means the continuous improvement. मतलब इसका मतलब क्या है कि आपको continuous improvement करना है. Now, question is, whenever you are talking about continuous improvement continuous तो तभी हो सकता जब आप existing problem के issues identify करोगे. Because in order to improve the system, you need to identify what are the issues of existing system. And for that purpose, this viva analysis is going to play very important role. And therefore, इंडस्ट्री में अगर हम जाएंगे तो हमें सबसे पहले बताया जाता है कि whether, because there for everybody, it's not only for the top level, right from like supervisor level in industry, they are going to make they have made it mandatory rather to do the Viva analysis for every for every employee. Every employee, this is made mandatory. And then in industry nowadays, they are organizing regularly the Kaizen competitions, and they are like the employees are being awarded and rewarded based on their innovation. Now, what is this Viva analysis? What kind of advantage it is going to provide us? It is going to provide us, if we will be able to understand what current and previous studies have been done on the issues which is to be studied. This can be understood through literature review. What is available information on the magnitude, nature, and classes of the problem. So what, depending on the problem, what kind of information is available? What is the magnitude? What is the nature of that information? Similarly, you need to understand what are the present gap in the knowledge, like the issues which you are going to deal with, what are the present gap. And then similarly, like once you understand the present gap, then what makes the problem worth studying. आपको मतलब ये समझना चाहिए कि ये problem क्यों worth रहेगा मेरे लिए study करना. And then why that problem has not been tackled by anybody. Like for example, बहुत बार हम हमारे thesis में लिख देंगे we are the first group across the globe to tackle this problem. Now you need to understand कि ये problem अभी तक बाकी लोगों ने tackle क्यों नहीं किया, ये भी हमें समझना जरूरी है. That we need to understand, and if you do Viva analysis, you will be able to understand this. And similarly, what do you intend to do to fill the gaps? So once you understand the gaps, then you need to understand, you need to make a systematic planning to bridge those gaps as well, so that you will be able to solve the problem. Now, as far as the selection of problem is concerned, there could be many reasons. Like we need to understand, हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि जो प्रॉब्लम मैंने आइडेंटिफाई किया है उसका रीजन क्या है. व्हाट आर द प्रोबेबल रीजंस? प्रोबेबल रीजन कुड बी सैटिस्फाई पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट और क्यूरियोसिटी. कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि मेरा पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट है, मुझे ये पर्टिकुलर कंसेप्ट में इन डेप्थ स्टडी करना है, मेरी क्यूरियोसिटी है, इसलिए मुझे रिसर्च करना है. और टू फर्निश अ बेसिस फॉर कंफर्मिंग सम अर्लियर स्टडी. जैसे कि मान लो किसी ने ऑलरेडी काम किया हुआ है, थ्योरेटिकल काम किया हुआ है, नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू डू प्रैक्टिकल स्टडी. कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि कुछ लोगों ने काम किया, मुझे उससे आगे बढ़ना होता है. सो दैट कुड बी मेनी रीजंस एंड समटाइम्स लाइक सोशल नीड. मैंने देखा है कि सोसाइटल नीड है, सोसाइटी के लिए काम करना इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसलिए ये प्रॉब्लम मैं इन्वेस्टिगेट करना चाहता हूँ. सो व्हेनेवर यू आर सेलेक्टिंग प्रॉब्लम, यू नीड टू बी वेरी क्लियर. आपको अपने आप को ये बताना पड़ेगा कि ये मैं क्यों करना चाहता हूं. ओके, देन what are the difficulties? If you really want to do a quality research, what are the difficulties? Difficulties are time constraint. कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि हम समय नहीं दे पाते. If you are really good research scholar, therefore मैं कभी भी बताना चाहूंगा कि अगर आपको rigorous, आपको अगर क्वालिटी इंपैक्टफुल काम करना है, रिसर्च पीएचडी डिग्री करना है या रिसर्च करना है, यू नीड टू स्पेंड एटलीस्ट 3-4 आवर्स वेरी रिगरसली. 3 to 4 hours very rigorously. So time constraint is going to be one of the hurdles in quality research. Financial problem, कभी कभी ये भी होता है कि you want to do some experiment but unfortunately you don't have this experimental facilities available. और कभी कभी आपके पास फेलोशिप नहीं है, आपको दिल्ली जाना है, बॉम्बे जाना है कुछ डेटा कलेक्शन के लिए. Since you don't have money or adequate funding support, you are not able to do quality research. Laboratory facilities, कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि आपके पास facilities नहीं है, available equipment नहीं है. Human resource limitations, बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि as a research guide, for example, as a research guide, research advisor, I have wonderful topics to deal with, but unfortunately, I have only couple of research scholar with me, or they are not competent because as I am not like आजकल ऐसे बहुत सारे research advisor हैं कि जिनके पास funding नहीं है. अगर funding नहीं है तो they will not be able to provide a fellowship to the student. अगर fellowship नहीं देंगे तो अच्छे student नहीं आएंगे आपके पास. So you will be having human resource limitations. And क्वालिटी रिसर्च इसलिए भी नहीं होता कि आपका लिटरेचर सर्वे भी प्रॉपर नहीं होगा. तो लिटरेचर सर्वे भी करना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होगा. What are the steps involved in research? The very first step is going to be selection of problem. Selection of problem is going to be very very important. इसलिए मैंने बताया आपको selection of problem कैसे करना है. You need to first of all do a SWOT analysis. आपको देखना है कि आपके स्ट्रेंथ क्या है, वीकनेसेस क्या है. Then you identify the list of issues, list of problems related to your topic. And try to do the mapping. आप मैपिंग करिए कि आपके स्ट्रेंथ से रिलेटेड आप क्या कर सकते और क्या नहीं कर सकते, एंड प्रायोरिटाइज दोज इश्यूज. जैसे कि मेरे पास 5 इश्यूज है, वो पांचों के पांचों इश्यूज मेरे पास स्ट्रेंथ है, मैं एड्रेस कर सकता हूं, लेकिन सबसे प्रायोरिटी नंबर 1 क्या होगा मेरे लिए. तो प्रायोरिटी नंबर 1 इसलिए हो सकता है कि मेरा नॉलेज सबसे ज्यादा उसी एरिया में है, प्रायोरिटी नंबर इसलिए भी हो सकता है क्योंकि सोसाइटी से रिलेटेड है. सो प्रायोरिटाइज करना भी इंपॉर्टेंट है. फॉर्मुलेशन ऑफ हाइपोथेसिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्योंकि मैंने देखा कि हाइपोथेसिस क्या है यही लोगों को पता नहीं है. So the formulation is very very, I'm going to tell you what is hypothesis in due course of time. So formulation of hypothesis is very important. Once you formulate hypothesis, then you will be able to formulate your objectives. Then objectives के बाद आपको methodology decide करनी पड़ेगी, and then you will be collecting data. After collecting data, you will be doing proper analysis, making presentation either in written form or oral presentation, evaluating data and testing your hypothesis. And hypothesis test करने के बाद आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि whether your hypothesis was correct or not. If it is not, you need to go back and make the correction, and again you have to repeat the process. And obviously, once everything is okay, you have to interpret the results, and you will be writing a report. Now, whenever you are talking about hypothesis is going to provide you some questions. In research, unless you, that is why it is called a research problem. प्रॉब्लम इसीलिए कहा जाता है क्योंकि उसका आंसर अभी तक आया नहीं है. सो अनलेस एंड अनटिल यू हैव अ रिसर्च क्वेश्चंस जनरेटेड. सो रिसर्च क्वेश्चन जनरेट क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है? बिकॉज वंस यू जनरेट रिसर्च क्वेश्चन, यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज द गैप, because identification of gap is also important. So identification of problem or questions, then identify the gap and prepare a planning, a very very comprehensive or systematic planning to bridge that gap. So if you do like this, then you will definitely success. Now, how to formulate the problem, right? So as far as the formulation of problem is concerned, we should start with the broad topic. In next slide, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to elaborate this again more. So let us say I'm going to quote you example of broad topic as well on next slide. So to begin with, we need to have the broad topic. Broad topic ले लिया, then you go ahead and have the proper very very in-depth understanding of the fundamental of that broad topic. क्योंकि जैसे कि एग्जांपल के तौर पे मैं बोलता हूँ कि मेरा टॉपिक है, I am going to develop a sensor which will be used for detection of carbon monoxide. तो मुझे अगर सेंसर फॉर डिटेक्शन ऑफ कार्बन मोनोक्साइड ये अगर मेरा टॉपिक है, तो मुझे ये देखना पड़ेगा कि व्हाट इज द सेंसर, व्हाट आर डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ सेंसर, व्हाट इज कार्बन मोनोक्साइड, what are the like the hazards, you know, ये सब मुझे इसका फंडामेंटल मुझे पढ़ना पड़ेगा. unless I read those fundamentals, I will not be able to move ahead. Then discussion of the topic with your colleague and guide, this is very important. Once you have the proper understanding, once you read some fundamental concept, what do you need to do? You need to keep on interacting, you need to keep on having interaction with your senior colleague and your PhD advisor, and then next would be do a very very systematic literature review, as I mentioned earlier. And then once you do the systematic review, you will be able to identify your fine-tuned problem, because you started with broad topic, then you did the fundamental understanding, you had a discussion with your senior colleague, you had a discussion with your PhD advisor, then you had a very rigorous literature review, and then you will be able to do the fine-tuning of your topic. Once you do the fine-tuning of topic, then you need to exactly state what you are going to do. Okay, now let us start. So this was the background. So whenever you are starting, whenever you are drafting the pre-PhD synopsis, this is going to be a background. Okay, now let us start now. Okay, so we will start with title. Okay, now as I mentioned earlier, you should start with broad title. You should start with broad title. And then what should be broad title? Let me tell you. I have quoted one example here. Chemical sensor for detection of VOC. So this is broad title. Okay, so I have mentioned only chemical sensor. I have not mentioned the topic. I have not mentioned the material. I have not mentioned the technique. Okay, and I have mentioned only volatile organic compound. So VOC is a broader group of various hazardous gases in the environment. So I have not mentioned very specific, right? To begin with, this is going to be a broad title. Chemical sensor for detection of VOC. And then what is second step? Second step will be introduction. Introduction means you need to write, once you have the broad title, in introduction you need to write, you need to first of all read and then write. Whenever we are talking about the drafting of the PhD synopsis, you have to write in introduction. Like since you are talking about the volatile organic compound, आपको बताना पड़ेगा कि VOC क्या है, कितने टाइप के VOCs होते हैं, उसके hazards क्या है, ह्यूमन हेल्थ पे उसके साइड इफेक्ट्स क्या है, उसके रिसोर्सेज क्या है, ये सब आपको बताने पड़ेंगे, राइट? सो इन इंट्रोडक्शन यू कैन स्टार्ट विद दैट. Then you, because since you will be working on chemical sensor, you need to do the quick review of chemical sensor. What are the different types of chemical sensors? What are the different detection methods available, right? Then you need to go ahead and think about the materials. What are the different materials available? Why you want to choose a specific material, right? So introduction में आपको general अलग-अलग material का overall structure देना, class of material. Later on you will be doing fine tuning, but to begin with you will be having a class of material. वो class of material आप पहले उसका introduction में आप लिखोगे, पढ़ोगे, लिखोगे, and then similarly the characterization. What are the probable characterization techniques you will be employing? So उसका basic आप पढ़ोगे and then you will be writing in introduction section. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि जो broad topic है जो आपने फाइनल किया उसका फंडामेंटल पढ़ेंगे, इन डेप्थ आप पढ़ेंगे एंड उसी को आप लिखेंगे इन इंट्रोडक्शन सेक्शन. And then comes to the literature review. As I mentioned earlier, literature review need to be done very very systematically. Literature review करते समय पहली exercise जो करनी चाहिए वो ये है, the first exercise that you need to do is you need to identify 10 best quality journal in your research area. Now best quality journal क्या है, जैसे मैंने बताया आपको, मैं वो at the end of this presentation में आपको बताऊंगा, लेकिन आपको आइडेंटिफाई करने पड़ेंगे. उसका रीजन ये है कि मान लो आपको आपके एरिया के रेपुटेड जर्नल ही पता नहीं है, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू हैव द क्रॉस सेक्शन ऑफ क्वालिटी वर्क. क्योंकि मान लो मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, मेरे जर्नल्स 1 2 3 4 मेरे जर्नल्स मेरे एरिया के टॉप जर्नल है, वो जर्नल छोड़कर मैं कोई और जर्नल को रेफर कर रहा हूँ, तो आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज द अपडेटेड नॉलेज. अपडेटेड नॉलेज मीन्स आज उस एरिया में क्या हो रहा है, दुनिया के हर कोने में, मतलब विद इन इंडिया एंड आउटसाइड इंडिया कहां पर क्या काम हो रहा है, उसका लेवल क्या है, व्हाट आर देयर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ मेथोडोलॉजी दे आर यूटिलाइजिंग, दैट वी विल नॉट बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड. एंड देयरफॉर टू बिगिन विद, before you start literature review, you need to identify 10 best quality journal in your area of research to begin with. And then it's not only that, you need to identify potential research group in India as well as abroad. ये क्यों जरूरी है, ये इसीलिए पहले मैं समझाता हूँ कि 10 बेस्ट क्वालिटी जर्नल करने के बाद क्या करना है आपको. तो मान लो मैंने 10 जर्नल्स आइडेंटिफाई कर दिया, सो व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू, राइट फ्रॉम ओल्ड जर्नल टू लेटेस्ट रिव्यू, राइट? क्योंकि मुझे ओल्ड पेपर भी देखने हैं and latest paper भी देखते हैं. Let us say for example I am doing literature review in the month of June 2020, then May 2020 तक रिसर्च पेपर मुझे देखना है वो स्टैंडर्ड जर्नल के, and old reference कहीं का भी हो सकता है. So maybe to begin with you need to, if you are beginner, right in the beginning you need to select at least 100 quality research paper, at least 100 quality research paper, and then do the categorization. आपने 100 quality paper research identify कर दिया, उसको आप 10 कैटेगरी में आप डिवाइड कर लीजिए on the basis of material, on the basis of characterization technique, on the basis of results. आप उसको 10 कैटेगरी में उसको आप कैरेक्टराइज करिए, and then once you segregate those in 10 different category, then आप देखिए हर ग्रुप में आप देखिए कि what kind of, आप पहले देखिए कि वो रिसर्च स्कॉलर किस इंस्टीट्यूट के हैं, whether they are from India or outside India. क्योंकि आपको ये भी पता होना जरूरी है कि आपके कॉम्पिटिटर्स, आपके पोटेंशियल रिसर्चर कहाँ कहाँ काम करते, वो कहाँ डेटा पब्लिश करते. दैट इज आल्सो वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, बिकॉज इफ यू रियली वांट टू हैव इनकलकेट नॉवेल्टी, ये बहुत जरूरी है. उसका एग्जांपल मैं बाद में कोट करूंगा कहाँ आप हम फंस सकते. तो क्या हुआ, 10 पेपर 100 पेपर 10 के कैटेगरी में हमने 10 कैटेगरी किया. फिर आप क्या करोगे, आपने देख लिया कि वो मतलब व्हाट आर देयर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, what kind of methodology those research scholars are using, what kind of interpretation tools they are using for interpreting data, what are their conclusions and what are their pitfalls. That is very very important. तो आप क्या करोगे, 10 ही ग्रुप के आप उसका इंट्रोडक्शन पढ़ेंगे, ऑब्स्ट्रैक्ट पढ़ेंगे, उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव्स पढ़ेंगे कि क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्स है, क्या मेथोडोलॉजी उन्होंने यूज की, उसके रिजल्ट्स क्या है, कैरेक्टराइजेशन क्या किया, टूल्स कौन से इंटरप्रिटेशन के लिए यूज किया, उनका इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या है, रिजल्ट एंड डिस्कशन में इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या है, एंड देन कंक्लूजन क्या है. एट द एंड ऑफ कंक्लूजन आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा कि उनके पिटफॉल्स क्या है, बिकॉज अनलेस यू आइडेंटिफाई पिटफॉल्स in their work you will not be able to inculcate novelty in your work. So this exercise has to be done very very rigorously. मैंने देखा कि ज्यादातर रिसर्च स्कॉलर यहीं पर फंस जाते, क्योंकि लिटरेचर रिव्यू अगर प्रॉपर नहीं रहा तो यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू इनकलकेट नॉवेल्टी, एंड आगे चलकर आप विदाउट नॉवेल्टी आप काम करोगे और डेटा पब्लिश नहीं होगा. आप जब पेपर सबमिट करने जाओगे तो एडिटर कहेगा कि आपके रिसर्च में कुछ नॉवेल्टी है ही नहीं. So whenever you are doing this, so whenever you are making these statements, like whenever you are identifying pitfalls, then on the basis of those pitfalls, you will be making statement that along, like within India, outside India, these are the groups, they are working in this area, this kind of objectives they are dealing with, these are the methodology they are adopting, these are the tools they are utilizing for interpretation of data, this is their interpretation, and these are the conclusions. And on the basis of that, I have observed following pitfalls. However, based on my expertise, based on having the infrastructure which we are having with you, then you can make a statement that based on my expertise, and since we are having this and this infrastructure, you will be a right person to address that issue. If you can make this kind of statement right in your PPT synopsis, and if you start working accordingly, then I'm sure you will be able to do inculcate novelty in your work. अब मैं आपको दूसरा एग्जांपल, सेकंड लाइन है, मैंने कहा कि आइडेंटिफाई द पोटेंशियल रिसर्च ग्रुप इन इंडिया एज वेल एज अब्रॉड. ये इसीलिए जरूरी है, पोटेंशियल रिसर्च ग्रुप इसीलिए जरूरी है क्योंकि आप देखिए, मान लो मैंने बेस्ट 10 जर्नल आइडेंटिफाई कर दिया, ओके, लेकिन आप देखिए कि खाली पूरी दुनिया में 10, there would be more than 10 बेस्ट जर्नल, इट्स नॉट ओनली 10. तो मुझे ये देखना पड़ेगा कि जो रियल रिसर्चर जो है, पोटेंशियल रिसर्चर, मेरे एरिया में काम करने वाले जो हैं, वो किस रिसर्च जर्नल में डेटा पब्लिश करते. मान लो मैं एग्जांपल आपके सामने रखना चाहूंगा. फॉर एग्जांपल, आई हैव रेफर्ड 10 बेस्ट जर्नल, जो रेप्यूटेड जर्नल वो मैंने रेफर किए, लेकिन एक अमेरिका के एक कोने में या ऑस्ट्रेलिया के एक कोने में या यूके के एक पर्टिकुलर कॉर्नर में देयर इज वन ग्रुप हु इज वर्किंग ऑन सिमिलर टॉपिक. आई हैव नॉट रेफर्ड देयर वर्क, राइट. तो फिर मैंने क्या किया, मैंने उनका काम रेफर ना करते हुए मैंने अपना सिनॉप्सिस बना लिया, काम करना शुरू कर दिया, काम किया, रिजल्ट आए, मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट ड्राफ्ट किया, सबमिट किया. बाय दैट टाइम वो जो सिमिलर काम करने वाला था उसने मेरे पहले सबमिट कर दिया. तो जब अच्छे जर्नल में मैं डेटा सबमिट करूंगा तो दैट अच्छा जर्नल तो देखने वाला है सभी तरफ. So he is going to say that okay, this work has already been carried out by somebody else. So you see, you were serious, you were committed, you were genuine. लेकिन कहां पर आपकी गलती हुई? आपकी गलती हुई कि आपने पोटेंशियल रिसर्च स्कॉलर जो है दुनिया में कहां है आपके एरिया में, आपने आइडेंटिफाई नहीं किया. सो व्हाट यू नीड टू डू, लिटरेचर रिव्यू. आपको दो बातें हैं, एक तो लिटरेचर रिव्यू आपको कंटिन्यूस करना है. बहुत बार हम क्या करते हैं, राइट, इन द बिगिनिंग करते हैं और बाद में छोड़ देते. नो, इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. यू नीड टू डू कंटिन्यूअसली. आपको हर महीने में देखना है कि कहां उस एरिया में क्या अपडेट हो रहा है, क्या रिसर्च हो रहा है, वेयर यू हैव टू चेंज योर डायरेक्शंस. और मोरओवर, जैसे मैंने बताया कि इफ यू आइडेंटिफाई पोटेंशियल ग्रुप अक्रॉस द ग्लोब विद इन इंडिया एज वेल एज आउटसाइड इंडिया, तो आप ट्रैक कर पाएंगे कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं. एंड देन you will ensure that you will be ahead of him, ahead of those group. And if you can ensure that you are ahead of those group, then only novelty can be inculcated, novelty can be maintained. अदरवाइज जब आप काम करोगे तब नॉवेल रहेगा, लेकिन जब पब्लिश करने जाओगे बाय दैट ऑफ नॉवेल्टी आपने मिस कर दिया होगा. एंड देन लास्ट पॉइंट है, गो थ्रू ओल्ड एज वेल एज लेटेस्ट रेफरेंसेस. जैसे मैंने बताया, इट्स नॉट ओनली लेटेस्ट रेफरेंसेस, आपको ओल्ड रेफरेंसेस भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो माय फ्रेंड, लिटरेचर रिव्यू इज वन ऑफ द वेरी वेरी रिगरस स्टेप, very important step while drafting your pre-PhD synopsis. यहाँ पर अगर आपने गलती कर दिया तो then you will not be able to do anything. So this here I will not advise you to do any mistake. You be honest at this particular stage of. And then next will be hypothesis, as I mentioned earlier. So जैसे कि मैंने बताया कि once you do literature review, you will be able to make a hypothesis statement. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is sort of assumption, is a logical supposition on the basis of reasonable guessing. And what is the difference between assumption and hypothesis? Assumption can be completely purely imaginary, whereas hypothesis need to have some technical support. So based on some technical support, you will be estimating something. Like I can quote you example of hypothesis. Example of hypothesis could be, जैसे कि मैंने बताया ना, यहाँ पर एक पॉइंट मैंने बताना, आफ्टर लिटरेचर रिव्यू you have to fine tune your topic, because you started with broad topic, but once you finish your literature review, you need to go back and you have to fine tune your topic. You can see my fine tune topic. My broad topic was chemical sensor for detection of VOC. Okay, now the fine tune topic would be chemical sensor based on OCP functionalized SWNTs for detection of CO. Now what I did, I have mentioned the material, I have mentioned the VOC also. So I have mentioned material, I have mentioned VOC. So this is fine tune topic. The fine tuning can be done only after literature review. Right in the beginning, you're not expected to do fine tuning. So you need to start with broad topic, you do the reading, you do a rigorous literature review, come back and fine tune your topic. And then once you fine tune your topic, what you need to do, you need to formulate the hypothesis. Hypothesis is something like a logical supposition, as I mentioned earlier, but it should have some technical ground. It should have some technical ground. Like for example, मैंने क्या बताया, मेरा टॉपिक है कि डिटेक्शन ऑफ केमिकल सेंसर बेस्ड ऑन लाइक ऑर्गेनिक कंडक्टिंग पॉलीमर मॉडिफाइड सिंगल वॉल कार्बन नैनो फॉर डिटेक्शन ऑफ CO, राइट. सो मुझे ये देखना है कि मेरा हाइपोथेसिस क्या होगा. हाइपोथेसिस ये होगा कि मैं कोट करना चाहूंगा, हाइपोथेसिस ये होगा कि बाय द कंप्लीशन ऑफ दिस वर्क I will be able to develop a sensor which will have this much response time, this much recovery time, this much low detection limit, and this much stability or sensitivity. So this is what I am presuming right in the beginning, but it should have some technical support. So this is going to be my hypothesis, right? So once I made the hypothesis, then I need to go ahead, because based on my hypothesis, I need to go ahead, because why we should hypothesize, because there could be two: short term establish research strategy, and in long term it can answer research question. This is very, very important. And it will also guide you, because whenever you are making hypothesis statement, like as I mentioned earlier, मैंने मेरा hypothesis statement में लिख दिया कि मेरी low detection limit ये होगी, रिस्पॉन्स टाइम ये होगा, रिकवरी टाइम ये होगा, तो क्या होगा, मेरे दिमाग में ये पैरामीटर रहेंगे कि जो भी मुझे काम करना है इसके इर्द गिर्द करना है. तो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी a sort of guidance for me, for research scholar. So therefore hypothesis is going to play very important role. Now as far as hypothesis is concerned, there could be two different kind of hypothesis. हमारे साइंस में जनरली हम null hypothesis ज्यादातर डिफाइन formulate नहीं करते, but in social sciences there is a concept of null hypothesis as well. There are two different kind of hypothesis: null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis means what? Null hypothesis always predict that there will be no differences between groups being studied. Okay, and whereas alternate, it will ensure that there will be difference. Now for example, I have quoted one example. Let us say there are two groups. One group is doing exercise. This is a common example I am quoting here. One group is doing exercise. Other group is doing not doing and following any exercise. What is our hypothesis? Null hypothesis. Null hypothesis would be both the group are going to have the same level of cholesterol. हमें पता है कि अगर मान लो 10 लोग हैं, हमने उनको 5-5 के 2 ग्रुप किए. एक 5 का ग्रुप है जो रिगरसली एक्सरसाइज करता है, दूसरा जो है लेट आवर तक सोते रहता है, अनाप शनाप खाते रहता है, तो उसका कोलेस्ट्रॉल लेवल ज्यादा होगा, हमें पता है. बस स्टिल नल हाइपोथेसिस मेरा क्या कहेगा कि दोनों ग्रुप, although one group is doing exercise, other group is not doing exercise, but still there would not be any difference at the level of cholesterol. Whereas my alternate hypothesis kahega ki yes, there would be some difference. So this kind of null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis can be stated right in the beginning. So once you have the hypothesis, then you will have to drop the objectives, because unless you formulate your hypothesis, you will not be able to draft your research objectives. Now as far as research objectives are concerned, research objectives should be spelled out point by point in telegraphic language only. Only telegraphic language, only bullet language. हमने देखा बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि there are people, there are research scholars, साइंस के भी, सोशल साइंस की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं मैं, साइंस के भी, कि उनके पैराग्राफ 2 पैराग्राफ उनके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होते हैं, मतलब एक पैराग्राफ मतलब एक ऑब्जेक्टिव. नो, वहां पर हमें हिस्ट्री ज्योग्राफी देने की एब्सोल्युटली जरूरत नहीं होती. वेरी वेरी स्पेसिफिक. मैंने कुछ एग्जांपल यहाँ पर रखे हैं, यू कैन सी. For example, the first example of objective would be align SWNTs between 2 gold microelectrode on SiSO2 substrate. That's it. So I'm going to align single wall carbon nanotube on 2 gold microelectrode on SiSO2 substrate. This is my first objective. Second objective would be I will be functionalize SWNTs by organic conducting polymers. That's it. Very precisely in telegraphic language. Third would be to characterize. Characterization के अलग-अलग type हो सकते हैं, electrical, spectroscopic, structural, morphological, bare SWNT as well as functionalized SWNTs. So मैंने खाली example के तौर पे 3 यहाँ पर example रखे हैं. So and then let us move further. मेथोडोलॉजी। नाउ अगर आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स में मान लो, हाँ, नंबर ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव्स कितने होने चाहिए ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट है। अगर इफ यू आर साइंस स्टूडेंट, साइंस रिसर्च स्कॉलर, then your objective should not, on an average it should be 6 objectives and at the most 9 के ऊपर होने ही नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि आपको मैं बताऊं जितने ज्यादा ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होंगे जितने आप भटक जाएंगे। ऑब्जेक्टिव शुड बी वेल डिफाइंड, वेरी फोकस। अगर आप ज्यादा ऑब्जेक्टिव रखेंगे तो आप भटक जाएंगे, इसलिए लिमिटेड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होना चाहिए। साइंस के अगर रिसर्च स्कॉलर है तो देयर शुड बी 6 ऑब्जेक्टिव, एट द मोस्ट 9, एंड इफ यू आर फ्रॉम सोशल साइंसेज देयर कुड बी 9, एट द मोस्ट 12, नॉट मोर देन 12, बिकॉज सोशल साइंस में थोड़ा सा ब्रॉड टाइप स्टडी होता है, इसलिए देयर वी कैन अफोर्ड टू हैव 12 ऑब्जेक्टिव्स। नाउ अगर आपके 6 ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं तो आपके मेथोडोलॉजी में भी 6 पॉइंट ही होने चाहिए। देयर शुड बी वेरी 1-to-1 करस्पॉन्डेंस। तो लेकिन हमारे पास, मैंने ऐसा देखा कि ऑब्जेक्टिव्स मेथोडोलॉजी का कोई रिलेशन नहीं होता। मैंने देखा बहुत सारे, मैंने पीपीएटी सिनॉप्सिस देखी कि जहां पर कहीं पर भी रिलेशन नहीं होता। ट्रूली स्पीकिंग देयर शुड बी 1-to-1 करस्पॉन्डेंस। जैसा कि मैंने लिखा है, पहला ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था मेरा कि अलाइनमेंट ऑफ एसडब्ल्यूएनटी। मुझे मेथोडोलॉजी में लिखना पड़ेगा कि मैं अलाइनमेंट कैसे करूंगा। सो व्हाट शुड बी माय फर्स्ट पॉइंट इन मेथोडोलॉजी, alignment of SWNTs between two gold microelectrode on Si-SiO2 substrate by dielectrophoretic techniques. So this is the technique which because this is the method, this is the methodology which I'm going to adopt for the alignment of SWNT. Similarly, second objective was functionalize SWNT by organic conducting polymer. मुझे खाली क्या करना है, टेक्निक कोड करना है। सो फंक्शनलाइजेशन ऑफ SWNT 2 निकलना पड़ेगा क्योंकि मेथोडोलॉजी है। फंक्शनलाइजेशन ऑफ SWNT by organic conducting polymer by electrochemical technique. Of course electrochemical technique भी बहुत सारे electrochemical technique है। अगर आपको रियल लिखना है तो आपको which technique you will be able, you are going to employ, that need to be specified here. ओके, एंड देन थर्ड वुड बी कैरेक्टराइजेशन। जो थे मैंने बताया था आपको कि जितने भी कैरेक्टराइजेशन है आपको बताना पड़ेगा कि ईच कैरेक्टराइजेशन के लिए क्या टूल्स आप यूज करेंगे। जैसे कि इलेक्ट्रिकल है, आप क्या यूज करेंगे। जैसे कि हम जो है हमारे लैब में वी आर यूजिंग केटली SMU। स्पेक्ट्रोस्कोपिक देयर आर मेनी, यू कैन डू UV, FTIR, रामन। स्ट्रक्चरल यू कैन डू XRD, आपको मेंशन करना पड़ेगा which XRD you will be using. For morphological you can do, there are again many techniques. You can do AFM, you can do SEM, you can do TEM, you can do FESEM. All those need to be mentioned along with the name of the tools. So methodology means whatever objectives you are set down, the way in which you are going to achieve your objectives, the techniques which you are going to utilize for doing that particular work. So this is what the methodology is. And then next will be expected outcome. आप जैसे कि मैं प्री PhD राइट इन द बिगिनिंग, जो PhD के बिगिनिंग में जो सबमिट कर रहे हैं उसका फॉर्मेट में बता रहा हूं आपको। तो क्या होगा, मेथोडोलॉजी के बाद में आपको एक्सपेक्टेड आउटकम देना पड़ेगा कि व्हाट काइंड ऑफ आउटपुट यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग। सो दिस इज वन एग्जांपल आई हैव कोटेड हियर। जैसे कि बताइए, देखिए, OCP functionalized SWNT would be better platform for detection of CO. Now in what way? By using above platform, the sensor would have following properties. These are the expected output. What are those? Low detection limit will be at par with Bell level. Response time would be 20 seconds. Recovery time would be 10 seconds. Sensitivity would be at least more than 80%. It would be highly selective and it would be stable. So these are the probable outcomes. So based on your research problem, you need to see what would be a probable outcome for your research. And then tentative chapter scheme. मैंने बताया कि what we are talking about, we are talking about the outline of the pre-PhD synopsis which is going to be submitted right in the beginning of research. ओके, तो आपको टेंटेटिव चैप्टर स्कीम देनी पड़ेगी। तो ये एग्जांपल के तौर पे मैंने बताया कि जैसे कि सेंसर का टॉपिक अगर होगा तो फंडामेंटल ऑफ सेंसर, थ्योरी ऑफ सेंसिंग मटेरियल, फैब्रिकेशन ऑफ सेंसर एंड अलाइड कैरेक्टराइजेशन टेक्निक्स, सेंसिंग स्टडी ऑफ सेंसर फॉर डिफरेंट VOC एनालाइट, रिजल्ट एंड डिस्कशन, summary and conclusion, bibliography and future scope. So tentative scheme you have to give right in the beginning and then list of references. So this is how the pre-PhD synopsis is going to be. Now if you are talking about the pre-PhD synopsis which is going to be submitted at the end of your research, at the end of research का मतलब क्या है? end of research का मतलब यह है कि आपने किया 4 साल 5 साल आपने PhD किया. Now you would like to submit your thesis. Now before thesis submission you will be submitting your प्री पीएचडी सिनॉप्सिस, वहां पर आपको एक्सपेरिमेंट बताना पड़ेगा. सो आपको बताना पड़ेगा कि व्हाट यू हैव डन विद द एक्सपेरिमेंट. सो आफ्टर आर्टिकुलेटिंग हाइपोथेसिस, नेक्स्ट स्टेप इन्वॉल्व्स वुड बी एक्चुअली कंडक्टिंग एक्सपेरिमेंट. So आप क्या करोगे? You will be conducting experiment, whatever the experiment could be. Social science का experiment data collection हो सकता है. Sciences के there could be chapter wise experiment. Let us say मेरा पहला चैप्टर है ये पर्टिकुलर वन मटेरियल, सेकंड होगा उसको फंक्शनलाइज करने के बाद, थर्ड होगा कंपोजिट बनाने के बाद, फोर्थ होगा और like third combination. And then every time I will be synthesizing material, every time I will be characterizing material, every time I will be testing those material for CO detection. तो चार अलग अलग probable combination में use करूंगा, and at the end I am going to see what was my hypothesis. Hypothesis जो था कि low detection limit मुझे क्या चाहिए था, sensitivity क्या चाहिए थी, response time क्या चाहिए था, whether I could reach there or not. If not, I need to go back and see what were the problems. And then after experiment you will be having data, and for as like once you have data, then you need to see whether you will be able to have the analysis of data without using any statistical technique. Now as far as science research scholars are concerned, most of the time you may not be using any statistical technique, but sometimes, let us for example, you have got XRD data, so you need to have the XRD software for interpretation. For example, FTIR data, you need to have the FTIR software for interpretation. So interpretation means analysis. So for example, sometime you need to have a standard, you may need to have a standard software for interpretation of data which you will be having. Or sometimes there are very common statistical techniques available. Those like usually social science teachers, social science researchers, they are using those statistical techniques for interpretation of the data. So you need to identify which statistical technique is going to be useful for you, क्योंकि there are different statistical techniques. सभी टेक्निक सभी डेटा के लिए हम एक जैसे यूज नहीं कर सकते. डिपेंडिंग ऑन नेचर ऑफ डेटा, आपका जो रिसर्च डेटा जैसा मिला है, अकॉर्डिंगली यू नीड टू सी which technique can be utilized for interpretation of data. Once you have the interpretation of data, then you need to have the conclusion. So conclusion could be chapter wise conclusion, and you can have the overall conclusion. Chapter wise conclusion would be a very very focused conclusion. Means you have got one particular chapter focusing one particular aspect. See what you have arrived, like whatever the drawbacks, whatever pitfalls you identified at the time of literature review, whether you are able to address those issues, that can be mentioned, that can be written specifically in conclusion, chapter wise conclusion, and you can have the overall conclusion at the end. Now whenever you finish with conclusion, you need to be very careful about replication. Replication is very very important. That is where we call it as a reproducibility, because whatever data you have produced during your research, you must be able to reproduce your data. For some reason you may not be able to reproduce your own data, and therefore what you need to do is, once you do the experiment, let us say first experiment, that is why in science there is concept of error bar. Like you just cannot do single experiment and publish data. Nowadays nobody is going to accept your data, one go data. Like whatever data you are going to have, one shot experiment, nobody is going to accept. You need to repeat your experiment at least for 5-6 times, and then whenever you are plotting your data, that is going to show the error bar. So the bigger the error bar, your deviations are more. Smaller the error bar, your reproducibility is more. So you need to make sure that your data is reproducible, and therefore whenever your data is not reproducible, again you need to go back and make the corrections and do the experiment again. And then now my friend, this is, I'm going to tell you the essentials and dispensable in overall research. So as I mentioned, this we have already discussed, that hypothesis is going to play a very important role, because if you are not able to draft or formulate hypothesis properly, then it will be really difficult for you. Therefore drafting smart hypothesis is going to play a very important role. These are, I always refer, these are essentials, research essentials. Once you draft hypothesis, as I mentioned earlier, you will be able to formulate objectives and methodology. Once you have the objectives and methodology, you need to understand whether you have got proper resources to do those experimentation, because whatever experiment you would like to do in your research based on your objectives and methodology, you need to have those resources. So you need to ensure that whether you have access to those resources. Moreover, investment is very important. Which investment? I'm not talking about money investment, I'm talking about time investment, because if you are not able to invest your time properly, you won't be able to have the good research. Proper guidance is very important, because if you are not able to have a proper guidance from your PhD advisor, then there would be chaos. And therefore, my friend, for example, if your PhD advisor doesn't have proper exposure, then what you need to do, you need to identify the better person, right? You can meet him once in a week, once in a month, or maybe once in a couple of months, but you need to have a proper guidance. Otherwise you will be, because research is like something like ocean, ये बड़ा महासागर है, आपको अगर प्रॉपर गाइडेंस नहीं रहेगा तो आप भटक जाएंगे और आपको तैरना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा. Then sincerity and consistency is going to play very important role, because आजकल हम देखते हैं कि बच्चों के पास सिंसियरिटी नहीं है. मतलब वो क्या करते हैं कि एक एक्सपेरिमेंट करेंगे, and if he is not able to produce data, he will be frustrated like anything. Okay, and then क्या करेगा वो डेटा, अगर मान लो पीएचडी एडवाइजर के पास आता है और पीएचडी एडवाइजर ने कहा कि सर बेटा देखो ये डेटा जो है ना उतना अच्छा नहीं है, आपको ये जो एक्सपेरिमेंट है फिर से रिपीट करना पड़ेगा. तो ज्यादातर स्टूडेंट उसके लिए पेशेंस, और ये एक साथ बता रहा हूं मैं, पेशेंस और सिंसियरिटी एंड कंसिस्टेंसी, क्योंकि ज्यादातर स्टूडेंट का पेशेंस नहीं होता है. तो वो कहते हैं कि सर बस हो गया, अभी कैसे हमें 2 एक्सपेरिमेंट मैंने किया, अब डेटा इससे हटके आएगा ही नहीं. नो, because the patience is going to be very very important role. Patience is going to play a very important role in research. So आप अगर बार बार एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं करोगे तो आपकी कंसिस्टेंसी नहीं रहेगी, सिंसियरिटी नहीं रहेगी. And therefore what you need to do, if you are doing experiment today, you need to, if it is needed, it's not like every time needed, if it is needed you need to repeat, because जैसे मैंने बताया ना कि replicability is very important, reproducibility is very important. Once your data अच्छा आया, you should not be like more enthusiastic. हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा कि रिप्रोड्यूसिबल है क्या. कभी कभी इसीलिए हमारे एडवाइजर कहेंगे कि ठीक है बेटा डेटा अच्छा है लेकिन कल फिर से करके देखो यू वेदर यू आर गोइंग टू गेट द सेम डेटा. सो माय फ्रेंड, पेशेंस, sincerity and consistency, these are very very important essentials. What are the dispensable? Avoiding library visit. आजकल ज्यादातर बच्चे लाइब्रेरी में जाते नहीं है, हम लोग भी टीचर्स भी जाते नहीं है. Plagiarism, because we know nowadays everything is available on tip of our finger. तो अभी क्या करते हैं हम जब भी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट ड्राफ्ट करोगे, जब आप रेफर करोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि देयर आर सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ डेटा अवेलेबल ऑन नेट. So you will get tempted to use that data. Please don't do that, because if you are doing it, you are committing very very big mistake. Fortunately nowadays, the journal editor, they are not that much stringent nowadays, because what they are doing nowadays, आप जब भी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट सबमिट करोगे तो वहां पर अपना उनका खुद का सॉफ्टवेयर होता है. They are going to check the plagiarism, and without taking any action they are going to send your paper back. वो बताएंगे आपको कि भाई आपका जो plagiarism जो है 20% 30% से ज्यादा है, आप इसको सीरियसली वर्कआउट करिए और फिर से सबमिट करिए. Nobody is going to take action. लेकिन गलती से आपने पेपर सबमिट कर दिया, वो पेपर अगर पब्लिश होता है बाय मिस्टेक, then and if you are committed mistake, then आपकी सर्विस भी जा सकती है, बच्चों का पीएचडी भी कैंसिल हो सकता है. So you have to be very careful about that. Then another dispensable is avoiding logbook entries. This is very very important, क्योंकि it's not only for science student, this is equally important for social science student as well. क्योंकि ज्यादातर बच्चे logbook में entries कर, logbook का मतलब क्या है? It is nothing but a regular notebook which you are using by doing the experiment, nothing else. जब हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं, at that time whatever experiment you are doing, you need to keep record of those. आजकल हमारे बच्चे लिखना नहीं जानते, आजकल हमारे बच्चे नोटबुक साथ में रखना नहीं जानते. बट दिस इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्योंकि ये कब इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, ये जब प्लेगरिज्म में अगर किसी कभी कभार अगर मान लो आप अगर गलती से अगर आप किसी ने ट्रैप किया, सो दिस लॉगबुक एंट्रीज आर गोइंग टू प्ले वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल. एंड देन दिस इज ऑल अबाउट परसेप्शन. क्योंकि आप देखिए अगर रियली साइंटिस्ट हो तो आपको प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफिकेशन क्या है, लिटरेचर रिव्यू, डेटा कलेक्शन, एनालिसिस, इंटरप्रिटेशन, रिजल्ट इवैल्यूएशन, इसका एक पर्टिकुलर लॉजिक आपके ध्यान में आएगा। लेकिन आप छोटे बच्चे जैसे करोगे तो देन यू विल बी कंफ्यूज ऑल टुगेदर कि पहले मुझे क्या करना है, बाद में मुझे क्या करना है। एंड दोज हु आर कंफ्यूज, they are not going to end up with good data, they are not going to end up with good, I mean they will not be able to publish the data in good journal. And therefore my friend, whenever we are drafting, whenever we are in the beginning phase, we need to keep your all senses open, so that you will be able to, as I mentioned earlier, you need to keep on observing the issues, you need to keep on tracking on your own strength and weaknesses, and then based on those observations, based on those problems, and you are doing mapping with your problems with strength, you will be able to identify the problem, you will be able to do the proper literature review, you will be able to formulate proper hypothesis, and then once you formulate proper hypothesis, you will be designing your objectives, methodologies, approaches to validate your hypothesis, and then doing the experiment. And if you are like fortunate enough, you will get expected result, you will be doing analysis, you will be concluding, and you will be publishing data in good journal. But if you are unfortunate, if you are not able to get good data, unexpected data, don't throw that data away. Sometimes you never know, whatever data, unexpected data you got, that may lead to a very, very good publication, that may lead to a very novel kind of research work. So whenever you are having unexpected data, don't throw it away, keep that data with you, have discussion with your PhD advisor. If it's not possible, sometime what happens, आज मान लो आज मुझे कुछ अनएक्सपेक्टेड डेटा आया है, आज मेरी जो बुद्धि है, आज मेरा जो नॉलेज है, हो सकता है शायद आज के डेट में मैं कर ना पाऊं, but what we need to do is we need to keep patience, and you can discuss that with your fellow colleague, you can discuss with your expert person, and you never know tomorrow. Today that you think that is unexpected, but tomorrow you never know, that may lead to a wonderful nature publication as well. So whenever you are having unexpected data, don't throw that data away. Then I'm going to tell you the impact factor. Okay, very briefly I'm going to tell you the impact factor now. So as I mentioned earlier, जैसे कि मैंने बताया आपको कि आपको सबसे पहले बेस्ट 10 जर्नल आइडेंटिफाई करने शुरुआत में, जब लिटरेचर रिव्यू करना शुरू करेंगे, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर, अच्छा इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर मतलब क्या है, दैट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. एंड देयरफॉर दिस इज अ वन फॉर्मूला व्हिच विल हेल्प यू टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर. यू कैन सी फॉर्मूला फॉर इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर इज A by B. व्हाट इज B? फॉर एग्जांपल 2020 का इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर हम निकाल रहे हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल व्हाट इज B? B is denominator. What is B? The total number of citable atoms published by that journal in 2018 and 19. मान लो एक जर्नल है, उसको 2020 में हमें इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर निकालना है. So that journal producing 12 issues in a year. एक जर्नल है, 12 issues एक साल का निकलता है, and in every issue there are 12 articles. So 12 multiplied by 12, there would be 144 articles in 1 year. 2 साल के कितने आर्टिकल्स बनेंगे? 288. The 288 will goes to denominator. Okay, so denominator will be fixed. What is numerator? Numerator is out of 288 articles which are published in 2018 and 19, how many of them are cited in index journal in 2020. मतलब पिछले 2 साल में जो 288 आर्टिकल जो उस जर्नल में पब्लिश किए, आउट ऑफ दैट हाउ मेनी गॉट साइटेशंस इन 2020. मान लो 288 to 288 जो आर्टिकल्स है, all 288 articles got citation one time. So what would be figure in numerator? Numerator would be 288, denominator would be 288, value would be 1, impact factor would be 1. इसका मतलब ये होता है कि अगर 288 आर्टिकल को एक बार साइटेशन मिलता है तो उसका इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर 1 रहेगा. मान लो अगर आउट ऑफ 288 ओनली 144 आर्टिकल गॉट साइटेशंस, तो क्या होगा? इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर 0.5 होगा. मतलब न्यूमरेटर आपका आइदर इट विल बी रिड्यूसिंग और इट विल बी इंक्रीजिंग. इंक्रीजिंग कब होगा? जैसे कि 2 बार साइटेशन मिला है तो 288 मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 288 डबल होगा, डिनोमिनेटर सेम रहेगा, इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर विल बी 2. सो इसका मतलब ये है कि मोर द साइटेशन मोर वुड बी द इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर. तो आपको ये तो समझ में आया कि इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर ज्यादा है, इसका मतलब साइटेशन ज्यादा है. साइटेशन ज्यादा है इसका मतलब क्या है, जर्नल अच्छा है। क्योंकि आप देखिए, अगर आप सिंपल एग्जांपल मैं आपको देता हूं, आप अगर न्यूज़पेपर जो पढ़ते हैं आप घर में, हम उन्हीं न्यूज़पेपर को सब्सक्राइब कर दे जो कि जिसका इम्पैक्ट अच्छा है, जिसकी एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी अच्छी है। कोई भी, जैसे कि मैं मान लो औरंगाबाद में अगर 15 न्यूज़पेपर, मराठी न्यूज़पेपर या इंग्लिश न्यूज़पेपर अगर पब्लिश होते हैं, तो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू सब्सक्राइब ऑल दोज, आई एम गोइंग टू सब्सक्राइब 1 or 2 आउट ऑफ दोज 15-20 ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ व्हाट, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ देयर क्रेडेंशियल, देयर क्रेडिबिलिटी। अभी तक लोगों ने क्या यूज किया, अभी तक हम लोगों का भी रिस्पॉन्स देखते, टीआरपी बोलते हैं उसको, वो हम देखते हैं, राइट। इसका मतलब क्या है, लोग वही न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ेंगे जहां पर ऑथेंटिकेटेड न्यूज रहेंगे। तो जर्नल वही देखेंगे जहां पर नॉवेल्टी ऑफ आर्टिकल्स होंगे, जिस आर्टिकल में नॉवेल्टी होगी, जिस आर्टिकल में सोसाइटल रिलेटेड कुछ रिसर्च होगा, जिस आर्टिकल के जो ऑथर्स है उसकी अपनी कुछ क्रेडिबिलिटी होगी। तो इसीलिए बड़े इंपैक्ट फैक्टर जर्नल ही देखना चाहिए। नाउ क्वेश्चन इज, आजकल आपको पता होगा, जैसे मैंने पहले बताया कि मशरूम जैसे जर्नल्स आ रहे हैं, मशरूम जैसी जर्नल्स, वो लीक क्लेम भी कर रहे हैं कि हमारा इंपैक्ट फैक्टर 5 है, हमारा इंपैक्ट फैक्टर 10 है, क्लेम भी कर रहे हैं। नाउ हु इज द अल्टीमेट लाइक होल्डिंग द कंट्रोल ऑफ इंपैक्ट फैक्टर इंटरनेशनली, या रेपुटेशन में बात कर रहा हूं, क्योंकि इंपैक्ट फैक्टर हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा कि इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे, ग्लोबल लेवल पर, साइंटिफिक लेवल पर आप अगर देखोगे तो अर्लियर इट वाज इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ साइंटिफिक इंफॉर्मेशन, पहले हुआ करता था। नाउ क्लैरिवेट एनालिटिक्स ने इसको टेक ओवर किया है, क्लैरिवेट एनालिटिक्स। तो आप अगर देखोगे किसी भी जर्नल का, आप अगर फ्रंट पेज ओपन करोगे और उसका इंपैक्ट फैक्टर जहां पर लिखा होगा वहां पर अगर आप अगर क्लिक करोगे तो वहां पर दिखेगा कि वो इंपैक्ट फैक्टर किसका है। तो आपने देखा होगा कि यूजीसी का जो कैस की जो प्रमोशन के गाइडलाइंस है, उन्होंने लिखा है कि इंपैक्ट फैक्टर शुड बी फ्रॉम थॉमसन रूटर। तो थॉमसन रूटर पहले हुआ करता था, नाउअडेज the impact factors are being taken care by international level Clarivate Analytics। अगर आप इंडियन इंपैक्ट फैक्टर की बात कर रहे हैं तो देन इंडियन स्टैटिस्टिक्स इंडेक्स, ओनली इंडियन स्टैटिस्टिक्स इंडेक्स, नो अदर एजेंसी। अगर इंडियन जर्नल है, अगर भारत में अगर जर्नल पब्लिश हो रहा है तो आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि वो इंडियन स्टैटिस्टिक्स इंडेक्स है क्या। तो इसलिए मैंने अभी थोड़ा एच के बारे में बताऊं, क्योंकि काफी लोग जो है एच के बारे में पता नहीं होगा, इसलिए मैं थोड़ा सा 2 मिनट में बताना चाहूंगा कि आजकल आपको पता होगा कि वेदर यू गो फॉर, आप कहीं पर भी जाइए, मान लो अगर आपके पीएचडी के बाद, इफ यू वांट यू टू बी एम्प्लॉयड इन गुड यूनिवर्सिटीज, गुड प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज एंड गवर्नमेंट यूनिवर्सिटीज और गुड कॉलेजेस वेयर अनफेयर सेलेक्शंस, फेयर सेलेक्शंस आर बीइंग डन, फेयर सेलेक्शंस आर बीइंग डन, वहां पर क्या होगा कि वो देखेंगे कि भाई आपने जो पब्लिकेशन किए हैं, आउट ऑफ दोज हाउ मेनी साइटेशन यू गॉट, और आपका एच इंडेक्स क्या है। एच इंडेक्स का मतलब ऐसा है कि मान लो मेरे 100 पेपर है, सो 100 पेपर को कितने साइटेशन मिले मुझे पता, मान लो आउट ऑफ 100 अगर मुझे 2000 साइटेशन है तो कितने, कौन से पेपर को कितने साइटेशन मिले। तो एच इंडेक्स इज गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड अस द इम्पैक्ट एंड प्रोडक्टिविटी, because H index always measure both productivity as well as impact of the published work of any scientist. So whatever work we are publishing, उसका impact और उसका productivity। मान लो अगर मेरा impact H index 30 है, तो उसका मतलब क्या होता है कि out of 100 the total number of publication, at least 30 papers have got minimum 30 citation। 30 से ज्यादा हो सकते बट मिनिमम 30 साइटेशन। अगर मुझे मेरे 30 पेपर आउट ऑफ 100 मिनिमम 30 पेपर को 30 साइटेशन अगर मिलते मिनिमम, तो मेरा एच इंडेक्स 30 होगा। I10 एक नया कंसेप्ट है। I10 का मतलब है, मान लो I10 आपका 90 है, तो आउट ऑफ योर टोटल नंबर ऑफ पब्लिकेशन 90 पेपर्स ऐसे है कि जिसको कम से कम आपको 10 साइटेशंस मिले हैं। सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट एच इंडेक्स एंड I10 इंडेक्स। Now I am going to tell you the databases, okay? जो इंडेक्स जर्नल की बात हो रही ना, तो उसके डेटाबेसेस में बता रहा हूँ। जो पार्टिसिपेंट सोशल साइंसेस के हैं, क्योंकि बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि सोशल साइंसेस के पार्टिसिपेंट को ऐसे लगता है कि ये जो स्कोपस इंडेक्स और वेब ऑफ साइंस इंडेक्स जर्नल उनके है ही नहीं। Let me tell you my friend, you can see on लेफ्ट को आप देखोगे, लेफ्ट कॉर्नर में जो कॉलम होगा, आप पहला नाम देखिए, आर्ट्स एंड ह्यूमैनिटी साइंटिस्ट इंडेक्स। दिस इज स्पेसिफिकली मेंट फॉर आर्ट्स एंड ह्यूमैनिटी। इंडियन स्टैटिस्टिक्स इंडेक्स जैसे मैंने बताया, दिस इज मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी, यहाँ पर सभी सब्जेक्ट के होंगे। इसका देखिए आप, आर्ट्स एंड ह्यूमैनिटीज का कौन है प्रोवाइडेड, थॉमसन रूटर। अभी ये क्लैरिवेट एनालिटिक्स देख रहा है। देन इंडियन स्टैटिस्टिक्स इंडेक्स होगा, ICI, उसको ICI कहेंगे. साइंस स्टैटिस्टिक्स इंडेक्स होगा, ये भी पोर्ट ऑफ वेब ऑफ ये स्पेसिफिकली साइंस जर्नल के लिए. तो स्कोपस यू कैन सी, स्कोपस इज फॉर मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी, स्कोपस इज फॉर मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी. सोशल साइंस इंडेक्स ये सोशल साइंस के लिए है. एंड अगेन स्प्रिंगर इज अगेन मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी. यू कैन सी देयर आर, आई मीन ये तो मैंने कुछ एग्जांपल के तौर पे आपके सामने रखे हैं, बट देयर आर मेनी indices like this where the quality journals are included in those indices and you can publish your data in those quality journal. Scopus क्योंकि अभी समय हुआ है, Scopus एक ऐसे डेटाबेस है 2004 में आया है. दिस इज मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी, जिसमें बुक सीरीज है, जर्नल है, ट्रेड जर्नल्स है. वेब ऑफ साइंस आपने नाइक में आपने देखा होगा कि स्कोपस एंड वेब ऑफ साइंस को आपको देखना पड़ता है, आपका डेटा पब्लिश करना होता है. सो वेब ऑफ साइंस ये भी मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी है. रिसर्च गेट ये दिस इज नॉट ए वेब, आई मीन आई वुड से दिस इज ए नेटवर्क, सोशल नेटवर्किंग. RG स्कोर के ऊपर आप कभी भी किसी भी रिसर्चर का आई मीन एकेडमिक परफॉर्मेंस आप मेजर नहीं कर सकते. दोज हु आर वेरी एक्टिव ऑन सोशल मीडिया, देयर RG स्कोर कैन बी बेटर. लेकिन दोज हु आर पैसिव, उनका एकेडमिक परफॉर्मेंस कितना भी अच्छा हो लेकिन RG स्कोर अच्छा नहीं हो सकता. इसलिए रिसर्च RG स्कोर कभी ज्यादा फॉलो मत करिए. गूगल स्कॉलर इज अनदर इंडाइसेस, डेटाबेसेस में कहूंगा कि यहाँ पर ज्यादातर मतलब इवन सबस्टैंडर्ड जर्नल भी गूगल स्कॉलर ने बहुत सारे अपने इंडेक्स में लिए हैं. दैट इज व्हाई इफ यू कंपेयर योर साइटेशंस H index of Google Scholar with that of Scopus and Web of Science, you will see that Google Scholar numbers are more, क्योंकि यहाँ पर कुछ सबस्टैंडर्ड जर्नल भी उन्होंने इंक्लूड कर रखे हैं. जर्नल की मैं बात कर रहा था. देयर आर, दिस इज गोइंग टू बी लास्ट बट वन स्लाइड. देयर आर 3-4 पैरामीटर्स. एक साइड स्कोर होता है. साइड स्कोर क्या होता है? ये साइड स्कोर ऑफ जर्नल ऑलवेज टेक केयर ऑफ द the citation count received by each and every article during last 3 years. So each इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर क्या करेगा? आपका ओवरऑल इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर होगा जर्नल का, लेकिन साइड स्कोर क्या बताएगा कि जितने भी आर्टिकल उस जर्नल में पब्लिश हुए हैं, एवरी हाउ मेनी like citation every article got, and that too during last 3 years. So that is going to be side score. 5 year impact factor भी देखना चाहिए क्योंकि एवरेज आएगा. And then HGR is again one of the very important parameters. Samago journal rank, यहाँ पर टोटल साइटेशन इज नॉट ओनली साइटेशन, लेकिन आपके जर्नल के आर्टिकल को किसने साइट किया, दैट इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट. जैसे कि मान लो मेरा परफॉर्मेंस कौन रैंक कर रहा है, मेरा परफॉर्मेंस मेरा कलीग है वो अप्रिशिएट कर रहा है ऑन वन हैंड, एंड मेरे वाइस चांसलर है वो अप्रिशिएट कर रहा है ऑन अदर हैंड. सो appreciating like by the appreciation by the vice chancellor is going to be rated at high scale. Okay, similarly जो साइटेशन की बात करते, किस जर्नल ने आपके जर्नल के आर्टिकल को साइट किया है, that is also going to be counted, वो HGR में मिलता है. and source normalized impact factor is again going to be very important, क्योंकि यहाँ पर क्या होता है, आपको आपके इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर को नॉर्मलाइज किया जाता है बेस्ड ऑन द साइटेशन रिसीव्ड फॉर इंडिविजुअल आर्टिकल. एंड देयरफॉर आपको अगर जर्नल सही मायनों में सेलेक्ट करना है तो आपको ये 5 पैरामीटर देखने चाहिए: साइड स्कोर, 5 ईयर इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर, HGR एंड SNP. ये देखकर ही जर्नल आप बेस्ट जर्नल आप सेलेक्ट करेंगे. एंड समरी, आई वुड से द ऑनेस्ट, कमिटेड एंड focus efforts are always required for drafting pre-PhD synopsis, and thoughtfully drafted pre-PhD synopsis will always lead to quality thesis and publication, which will definitely going to have novelty as well as social relevance. With this,